What is up, you guys? I am Missy Renee, and in today's video, I'm going to answer your questions about manifestation. So if manifestation and conscious creation are topics that you are interested in learning more about, then definitely don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so that way you're notified when I release new videos every week. If you're interested in more resources such as one-on-one coaching or info about my new membership group, I will have all of that down in the description box below, along with a bunch of other helpful resources, so do not forget to check them out. So my ultimate goal with this channel and what I am doing is to educate as many people as possible about the law and help people awaken into their own power. Naturally, this is a very confusing and difficult topic to wrap your head around when you're new. And of course, you're going to have a lot of questions about all different kinds of aspects of the law. So today I'm going to answer a few of the comments that have been left, especially some of the more frequently asked questions that I get. But just a really quick announcement before we get started. I want to let you guys know a little bit more about my brand new membership group, the Conscious Creator Society. Every month, I'm going to be doing a live workshop on a variety of different manifestation topics. So if you are new to the law, this is a fantastic opportunity to get the chance to join me in my deep dive workshop sessions. You will also have access to all of my previously recorded sessions and get the chance to ask me questions in live Q&A sessions every month. So if you enjoy Q&A videos like this and you have questions that you want to ask me, definitely be sure to sign up. I will have all of the information down in the description box. And through the end of the month, I am extending my sign-up special where you will get 50% off the cost of membership for life. So definitely don't forget to check it out. Link is down below. And take advantage of this offer while it still stands for the next couple of days. Sign up and I will see you there. So that said, let's jump into some questions. Have you had failures with big manifestations? Several. Over the course of the 12 or so years that I've been studying manifestation, yeah, I've definitely missed the mark a number of times. And even still to this day, sometimes things will not show up exactly how I had planned or had wanted it to go. But I would argue that I don't consider this to be failing so much as missing the mark. Because to say fail makes it sound pretty final and definite, and there is no such thing as that. So while I would argue that, yes, naturally I have missed the mark at times, I've still managed to successfully manifest my specific person, financial wealth, and pretty much everything that I need to where I am very, very happy and content, which is a complete black and white from where I was even just a few years ago. So I guess you could say, yes, I've managed to pull off all of the big manifestations that I desired, but I still naturally sometimes miss the mark. The difference is, I know that if I miss that mark, I don't have to accept it as final. I don't have to accept it as a failure. I get back into that state and I stay there until it becomes my 3D reality. And this is something that I really, really, really hope to get across. This is one of my more big points that I hope you guys take away from all of this, is that even if something does not happen the way that you want it to happen, don't accept it as final. Don't accept it as done. If you are not yet in that desired end, then do not accept that end. Keep persisting. We're all going to miss the mark at times. Even Neville sometimes did not successfully manifest on the first go. But nonetheless, he would persist because he knew at the end of the day that your imagination is what creates your reality. So even if you miss the mark, and even if you don't get it on the first try, do not accept it. Do not allow it to take over you. Do not give up. If you can successfully persist in living in that end, you will experience it in your 3D. Question number 2. What if you blocked out your childhood and don't remember it that well, but know it is affecting you? I would really like to do a revision, but I am not sure I can remember it all. That's actually a fantastic question because I had a lot of the same issues myself. There were parts of my childhood that were completely blacked out. I'm sure because it was not a pleasant thing to remember, and that is a part of the mind's self-defense mechanism. We will forget certain things if it was way too traumatic to take that experience with us. But it doesn't even have to just be trauma. It can be literally anything. Study after study has shown that our memories over time of certain events will begin to skew and we lose recollection altogether. So this is pretty common. I would suggest that you set the intention that you know exactly what it is that is affecting you. I would set the intention that you always know what it is that you're trying to manifest, that you always have a light shined on whatever is limiting you, and that anything that is unseen right now will come to the surface. And you can do this in a number of ways. You can affirm it. You can imagine a scene where you are talking to someone, you are talking to a loved one perhaps, about how you always manifest exactly what you want and you always know if there are any specific roadblocks that you run into, or that you can find any limiting belief and turn it around like that. But go ahead and play around with whatever feels more natural and less resisting to you. But definitely set the intention that you have clarity going forward and that any limiting belief lingering under the surface will reveal itself to you so that you can change it and turn it around. Question number 3. One slightly weird question I have about thoughts is, you know how in our head we can hear ourselves saying the thought, like with affirmations, but we also have thoughts that we don't actually say in our mind, but we know that they are there. For example, I look at a pen on the table, I don't say in my head, oh, there's a pen, but I still think to myself, there's a pen. Does this make sense? What I'm trying to say is, do these unheard thoughts also count towards the mental diet? I've never seen anyone mention anywhere, so I just don't know. Excellent question, and good observation, by the way. Yes, these so-called unheard thoughts are really just our observation, and they still impact our self-concept. So even if we're not directly saying the phrase or the sentence out loud in our head, like, oh, there's a cat over there, if we look at something and we observe it and we acknowledge it, that is definitely showing us what we see, what we perceive, and any of those perceptions, any of those observations absolutely are part of the self-concept that you carry. So yes, I would be mindful of these so-called unheard thoughts or unspoken thoughts, would maybe be a better way to phrase it. I don't know. But fantastic question. I don't think I've seen this one really brought up anywhere before either. So good looking out. Yes, pay attention to all of those. Pay attention to the mental direction and the mental activity in general. And if there's anything there that sticks out that is unwanted or undesirable, you know what you need to work on. Question 4. What do you do to soothe yourself to not react? I've manifested great things, I consider them great, and basic things, but why is it that it feels like manifesting an SP is so challenging? The reason that we feel manifesting an SP is way more challenging is our beliefs. It's how we are perceiving it. And it's the attachment that we have to that person. Naturally, you're going to have a stronger attachment to your SP than you would a free cup of coffee or manifesting some random object. So it's in part how we perceive it. And we tend to look at this through a different lens when it comes to our specific person. That is going to be way more based on the belief system that we carry. And it's really going to challenge every single insecurity, every single doubt, every single challenge that we have. It's going to push those buttons. So it is really, really, really important to remember that there is no distinction or difference when it comes to manifesting a cup of coffee or manifesting your SP. It's the same rules, it's the same law, everything applies. There is no more challenge than what you might perceive or believe there to be. I know it certainly doesn't feel that way at times, but there really is no key difference between manifesting that coffee and manifesting $1,000,000. Same law, same rules apply. But to answer your question, there are two things that I would really remember to keep in mind when it comes to reacting in an SP situation. Number one, keep testing the law with everything. Constantly be using faith-building exercises and testing the law on a daily basis. The more that you can prove to yourself and see the results of your conscious creation practice, the easier and easier it's going to get, because you're not going to feel so much like you have to force it or fake it. It's going to start becoming more and more natural and coming more and more naturally to you, because you're naturally going to have more and more trust as you do the faith building exercises. The second thing I would say is to persist. Even when we do not get the results that we want on the first try, on the second try, on the 50th try, if you are able to get yourself back in the state of the wish fulfilled, you will have a bridge of incidents unfold that will lead you to your desired end. And just to throw in a third bonus tip, even if you do react, you can always go back and revise it. So do not get hung up on what the 3D tells you, because again, circumstances don't matter. Circumstances never matter. So keep on building the faith, keep persisting, revise anything that you don't want along the way, and you will inevitably get there. Question number 5. How can I tell that I've impressed my subconscious? Great question. And I'm actually about to make a video on this very topic about how to know that you are in the correct state. Because naturally, this is one of the biggest things that we are anxious to get to understand. So we have a way of measuring whether or not we are doing this correctly, or whether or not some things need to be tweaked and adjusted along the way. As humans, this is one of the biggest struggles that we have with this. When we can't measure something with our physical senses, we lose faith and we begin to doubt. But to summarize as quickly as possible, you know that you're in the right state because it'll feel like it's already done. There won't be all that anxiety. You won't be sitting around wondering if it's working. You won't be checking your phone every 5 minutes for that text message. You won't be having those mental arguments or fights in your mind every day. When you are in the end and you are in the correct state, it will feel like this calm, confident knowing. It feels like you've already placed the order on something and it's on its way. And all you have to do is wait for it to show up in the 3D. Neville also referred to this as the Sabbath period. And again, I'm going to make a video on this topic here shortly, so keep an eye on it. But essentially, you just want to check in with yourself throughout the day and note how you're feeling. Note if you're still anxious. Note if you're still craving and longing. And if you are still having those inner conversations, those inner fights, that inner dialogue that isn't so good. These are all key things to pay attention to, because if these things are consistently happening, you're not in the correct state. Now, you may still get some doubtful thoughts in your mind pop up from time to time while you're in the Sabbath. The difference is you're not going to be so emotionally reactive to them. Even if a contradictory thought does come up in that Sabbath period, it's not going to feel normal. You're going to look at it more objectively, and you're going to approach it more as the observer. And thus it'll be easier to just shake it off and say, no, that's not what I want. That's not what's going on here. I have felt that state. I have selected that state. It is already done. I am just waiting for it to now materialize in my 3D. But once it has happened in imagination, it is already done. Question 6. When manifesting, do I say I want it, or do I just feel the good feeling of having the things I want? I ask because some people say using the word want identifies with lack. They are correct. When you are in the state of having, you no longer want it. So no, you do not go about your day wanting this thing to happen. You don't affirm that you want $1,000,000 or that you want your SP back. You already have it. So the latter part of your question is what you want to go with. You want to feel the good feelings associated with living in that end state. You want to feel the love, you want to feel the bliss, you want to feel that satisfaction, you want to feel that feeling of being wanted and committed to in the case of an SP. Or same thing goes with money. If you want to manifest wealth, you want to get yourself in a state of abundance, you want to get yourself in a state of gratitude and of having more than enough. But you always, always, always want to do it from the place of already having it. So it's always going to be in the past tense. It's already happened, it's already done. It is literally impossible to want something that you already have. The feeling of wanting, the feeling of needing, the feeling of craving, the feeling of longing are all signs pointing to lack. Just go to the end where you already have the thing that you desire and marinate in that feeling. But we want to avoid any and all terms or any and all words that are associated with things like needing and wanting. Question 7. So my question is, what if you imagine the scene at night and you feel it so real and you feel the emotion that it is done? I feel the need to drop it most of the time, but when it gets close to the deadline of the manifestation, you feel a little nervousness. Every time I feel nervousness, I go back to my mental scene. How do you stay fully confident when you know your manifestation is on its way, but just haven't seen signs from your side? This is another really great question, is keeping that faith and keeping the confidence when you have not seen the results directly in your 3D. This question is hands down one of the most common that I get. And again, we're talking about keeping that faith when you are new to manifesting. The good news is that once you have felt it in imagination, even just one time, you have selected that state. It is already yours. It is already done. The only job you have to do after that is to go about your day and know that it's finished, and let your subconscious, let awareness unfold things naturally for you. And this is again where faith building exercises are going to be your best friend, because there is a big, big, big difference between knowing about the law and experiencing it and having your own successes and having lived those personally. When you are able to do that, you're naturally going to have more trust and more faith, which will keep that doubt and that uncertainty at bay. So I'm going to keep pressing this over and over again to test this, and not just with that specific thing that you desire. Test it with everything. Test it daily. Test the law to the point where you have no room left for doubt. You cannot chalk it up as a coincidence, and you know that you have in fact done this. I will say that if you are new to the law and haven't had much experience with this yet, I would not recommend trying to manifest things on a deadline if you can help it. Because naturally, being pressed up against time, or what we perceive as time, is going to build anxiety and stress and uncertainty. And we don't want unnecessary stress and anxiety coupled and compounded with a deadline. If you have the choice and ability, let things unfold naturally. Do not try to set a time on it. You want to give yourself enough room to be able to play and grow and experience the law and naturally start to build trust in yourself as the creator. Now, if you absolutely can't help it, if there is a looming deadline coming up that you cannot get around, I have made a video about how to manifest on a deadline. If you haven't seen it yet and you want to check it out, you can do so up here. I'll also have it linked in the description box below. But do not try to make this harder for yourself than you need to. If you are new to the law and you don't have to have a strict deadline, then don't do that to yourself. But if you absolutely do have something coming up that you need manifested by a certain date, check out that video. I go a lot more in depth in that video, so definitely be sure to check that one out. Question number 8. I'd love to learn more about your take on partial manifestations and why they happen. Looking back now in retrospect, I believe it's because I wasn't fully clear on what it is I wanted, but some things were happening that were what I wanted regarding my SP and a third person, but I reacted because it wasn't fully what I wanted. I feel like I may have ruined things indefinitely, and it's been a long time since me and him have talked and the growing time and distance makes me start feeling hopeless and sad. I know you say time and separation are an illusion. I'd like to learn more about this. Partial manifestations are obviously a very frustrating thing, and unfortunately they are very, very common. And I've made a video about this topic as well, so if you haven't seen my video yet, check it out. I will have it linked up here and also down in the description box. So I would check out that video. I'll be going a lot more in depth in that one, but really quick to say, partial manifestations are the result of one of two things, or a combination of both: having a reaction that sets things off course or moves you back into your previous state, or a bigger, more general underlying belief that is in contradiction to the thing that you desire. So I would really take a look at what was going on with you at that time. What were your feelings? What kind of thoughts were you having through the day, if you can recall? And how do you feel about the situation now? Now, I do agree that yes, it could also be the fact that you didn't know what you wanted, and that certainly could have played a role in things. And this is why we always want to make sure that we know what we want, and we are very clear about what it is we're trying to manifest before going into it. But the biggest things that I have found over the years that cause a partial manifestation is having a very big reaction before the whole thing has had a chance to play out, that will set things off course, so to speak, or revert you to the old state, and or a deeper underlying belief that was in contrast to whatever it is that you were trying to manifest. But either way, definitely check out my video about incomplete or partial manifestations. I'll talk a lot more about it in that video. But also just to note that nothing is final. You cannot ruin things indefinitely unless you declare it and you decide that it is so. You can change any circumstance, any situation, it does not matter. You can absolutely turn things around in your favor once you decide to do so, and once you get yourself back into the state of the wish fulfilled. It is never too late to do that. So just note that going forward, keep that in mind, and definitely be sure to check out that video. And remember that you are, at the end of the day, what determines the course for you going forward. Last question, question 9. What is your take on revising the death of a loved one? Now, I've gotten this question several times, and it's something that obviously comes up often. And this is a topic that is absolutely going to require a video in and of itself. I actually have plans to make a video all about death and revising death and what all is going on with the whole dying thing. In short, you can absolutely revise anything, and you can absolutely manifest anything. It's going to require a significant amount of faith and trust in the law on your end, because this is something that is so deeply ingrained in the fabric of our society that death is the final frontier. That once somebody is dead, they are gone, that's it, there's no seeing them again, it's over. Now, I know from firsthand experience and plenty of people that I have spoken with that that is not the case, and that with the infinite states that exist and the infinite realities and the infinite parallel universes, that there is obviously a place in one of the infinite places that exist where your loved one, your deceased loved one, is just as real and alive as you and me are here right now. And you can absolutely visit that loved one, and you can absolutely move yourself into that state where your loved one is right now. I know that that sounds pretty out there and pretty wild, but again, this is something that I've experienced firsthand, and so have many other people. We can absolutely shift and move between realities and states all the time. We're doing that all the time anyways. And a lot of people have been able to shift into a very different state from where they previously were. And a lot of people will call this like a glitch in the matrix or what have you, but these stories are out there and there are a lot of them. But in terms of revising death of a loved one, that is going to help a lot more with how you are grieving and how you are coping. And I consider that more to be part of the grieving process and something that you can do to kind of get you through that grief phase. Not to say that you're never going to have grief again, or you're never going to, miss them again. Of course you're going to have those feelings, but with revision, we can absolutely adjust different things and how we've associated with those things. And by revising those past events, it will affect how we've been affected. It will affect the impression that was left upon us. But if the ultimate goal is to see the loved one again, I would much more suggest getting into that I am state and getting yourself deep, deep, deep into that state akin to sleep, and moving yourself into the place where they are right now, jumping to a different reality, so to speak. Again, this is one that does come with a lot of practice because of our very strong beliefs around death. But the truth about this is that death is one of many constructs that we carry, and it's just that. It is a construct. The reality is that we cannot die. This body that we wear is just a robe of flesh and blood, but it's not who we are. Who you are is immortal. It can never die. So I would not only revise the death of the loved one, I would also work on imagining that you are now with them and that you are meeting them in imagination. This will take some practice. This will take some time to really move there, but this is absolutely doable and you can see them again. I will make a video going much more into this topic because I know that it's one that a lot of people are interested in, but for now, just know that yes, you can absolutely revise anyone's passing to help you with the impact that it had on you, but you can also get yourself into the state where they are now in imagination. Whew! So that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in checking out any of my other resources, I'll have links down below to one-on-one coaching, my blog, my social channels, and my new membership group, so definitely be sure to check them out. Also, do not forget to check out these videos over here. Each video is a different topic, but it all pertains on how to manifest the very best life possible. So until we meet again, take care, be well, and never forget that you are the operant power and you can do anything that you want. Happy manifesting, guys.